My mother requested me to make her favorite pastry, pain au raisin. Warning, if you make this for your friends, they're gonna say you're lying that you made this from scratch because it tastes like it came out of a bakery in Paris. And to be honest, it actually tastes better than in the bakeries in Paris because we've tried it. And this is just so much better because it's 100% butter and it just, oh my God, it's insane. And also has custard in it. So it's very simple ingredients for the dough. We're basically gonna make kind of like a puff pastry, starting with 250 milliliters of warm milk. I added 1 teaspoon sugar from the sugar we're gonna use for the dough, and also 8 grams of yeast. I'm having that rise activate right now, and this is about a cup of raisins, and I'm gonna soak it in Grand Marnier. You can also use rum or nothing at all, but I like it soaked. And I'm gonna add actually more raisin that normally is, and then microwave it for 15 seconds and then let it soak. 425 grams of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 75 grams of sugar. This is the sugar I took 1 spoon out of, so the total is 75 grams of sugar, and then 50 grams of melted butter in everything in our mixing bowl. You can mix it with hand, but why would you if you have a standing mixer? It just makes life so much easier. It's gonna mix up pretty fast, and then you're gonna let it keep mixing for like 5, 6, 10 minutes. The more it mixes, the better, because that's how you form the gluten. Like I said, it's similar to puff pastry, so it's gonna have butter in it. 200 grams of butter, room temperature best for what I'm doing right now, in a parchment paper. I'm just trying to make it flat and then fold in the corners so it doesn't spill out. I'm just like beating it, flattening out, rolling it out. I want a thin layer because it will be so much easier to fold it into the dough when it's flat like this. Now this is going into the fridge to get freezing cold, like solid cold, not freezing. Dough is done, and I'm gonna let it proof rise for at least an hour in warm area. If it's winter and it's cold, you might need to put it in a proofing box or in the oven on proofing settings. Now for the custard, 2 egg yolks and 75 grams of sugar. Mix this until it looks like this, creamy. About like 2 minutes of whisking, and then 35 grams of cornstarch. Now this is the hard part because the cornstarch wants to fly all over, and the whisk always like picks it up on the inside. Maybe it will be easier to do it with a fork. And also I underestimated my bowl. I definitely needed a bigger bowl. I do hate it when it's like gets stuck on the inside of the whisk, but it's okay. This is what it's gonna look like, and the custard is pretty much halfway done. Everything is mixed together. Now we're gonna have add a stick of vanilla bean to 300 milliliters of milk. My vanilla pods been in the fridge for a while, so it's kind of stiff, and I had to like break it apart to cut it in. But we're gonna bring this milk to boil in a bigger saucepan, and once it's hot, we're gonna partially add it to our egg yolk mixture and then whisk it super fast to prevent the hot milk to cook the eggs. So just add it in parts and then whisk. It might become foamy like this. It's okay because we're gonna cook it down and the foam will disappear, so don't worry about the foam. Back into the pot, and then we're gonna put it on low heat and non-stop whisking. You cannot stop whisking. I switched to silicone whisk because I didn't want to scratch my pan, but you're just gonna keep whisking. It's gonna take about 2 minutes. You're gonna see some chunks, and we're almost done with this. And I am turning off the heat somewhere about now. Yeah, turn off the heat and then whisk a little bit more, and I'm gonna get this off the heat and into a clean bowl. And I'm like to make it flat so it's easier to pull the plastic foil on top, like the sandwich wrapping foil. You just want to make sure it's not exposed to air while it's cooling in the fridge. So this is gonna stay in the fridge until the dough is completely done. Beautiful and so delicious. Do not eat it. Yeah, I definitely ate a good spoon of it. The dough is done, and I'm just gonna stretch out a bit. This big boy is rubbery. There's a lot of gluten formed in here, but we just want to make like a rectangle, and this is where you're gonna see similarity of how puff pastry is made. But that has way more butter than this, so we're gonna put the layer of butter in here and then just fold in the sides, creating kind of like a pocket. Pretty much same thing as the puff pastry, and it is gonna have layers, but not as many layers as puff pastry, and it's not gonna be as flaky as puff pastry. So I folded it in, and I'm just rolling it out because we're gonna fold it a few more times. Now, as you can see, the butter is starting to become room temperatured and melting, and it's easier to work with, but we do have to pop it back in the fridge because we want the butter to be cold. Folding it again from both sides, and then a third time, and it's gonna look like a little heart, like that. Perfect. And these are gonna be layers, and then I'm trying to make it flat again. Yeah, it's gonna take some elbow grease. Like, there's a lot of gluten in this dough, that's why it's like stretchy and gummy. And now I'm gonna put it in the fridge for like 10 minutes because it's too warm, it's too wobbly, and we don't want the butter to leak out, because it did start to leak out a little bit. So it's easier to work with it when it's not cold but not warm, so like kind of in between. Now I'm doing 1 and 2 folds, then back into the fridge for 30 minutes to get it cold, and we're done with the whole folding process. Now out of the fridge, it's cold. I did switch to a marble rolling pin because it was so much easier. It's heavier, it's putting more pressure on it, and I'm trying to make a log, basically like a long rectangle. It took some elbow grease time, but it was done. And seeing the custard, you might think like that's not enough custard. Trust me, it is enough, like more than enough custard. There's plenty of custard in here because look, it's gonna cover all the areas. It's hard not to eat it. Yeah, this custard came out absolutely delicious, but just spread it all over, and then on top of it goes the raisin that has been soaking for hours at this point. It has like a really good flavor to it. You don't have to soak it in anything. Maybe water, just soak it in water if the raisins are too dry, because sometimes, you just have it in your pantry for too long, but it's still good. You want to roll it up and then cut about 1.5 centimeters. I feel like I'm really good at judging measurements, so I just like tapping it with the knife. You can use a knife to cut it, or you can use a thread to pull it. Like, you're just gonna pull and it will slice it. You also want to make sure the dough is not too warmed up, because it's gonna like push out too much of the filling. I personally kind of like it when it pushes the custard up, because it just looks so much more beautiful while it's baking. And this is done. You're gonna pull and pinch a little bit of the ends and then put it underneath. That's how we're gonna tuck away that ending to make sure that it stays in this round shape, and then let it rest for 30 minutes. It rested and it grew a little bit, and I flattened it down because I felt like it was too tall, and then just egg brush it. And we're gonna bake this for 350 for about 20 minutes, maybe 22 minutes. Everyone's oven is a little bit different. Again, sugar syrup, it's 2 tablespoons of water and 2 tablespoons of sugar, so equal parts. Bring it to a boil. That's gonna be our glaze. Now, if this happens to you, if the end grows out, it basically is growing while it's baking, you just take 2 forks and tuck it under while it's still baking, and look how beautiful these are. The bottom is crispy, buttery, a little bit of the sugar is caramelized, and now I'm gonna brush it with the sugar syrup, and then that's the end of it. While the sugar syrup is cooling, it's gonna be a little solid, so it's not gonna drip down. It's gonna stay on it. It's gonna make it shiny, give it a little bit of sweetness. And oh my goodness, I ate 3 of these back to back nonstop with a cup of tea. It's delicious. I'm telling you, if you make these for your friends, they're not gonna believe it's homemade. They're gonna say it's from a bakery. It came out so good, pretty easy to make. Yeah, the making a dough takes a little time, but it's so easy to make and so delicious. And it's gonna you can stay in the fridge for a few days. Easy, cheap to make, and phenomenal. Tastes absolutely amazing. It kind of tastes like the brown butter.